Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing very well today and you're ready to start your day with me, Maha Mukhdoom and Shazad Khan, only on World This Morning, PTV World. Assalamu alaikum Shazad, how are you?
Walaikum assalam. Good morning. I'm absolutely perfect, and I
Good.
hope that everybody out there is perfect too. Trying to rise and shine, wake and bake, get up, and whatever you're supposed to do, just do it. Gather all of that energy, whatever you've been thinking before going to the bed, that this is what I'm going to achieve in my life. Well, you've got an opportunity, you've got another chance, you're
Yes.
up, so just get up. Make sure that those positive vibes get into you and you disseminate positive vibes, and your day is going to be a very beautiful one. What
Absolutely.
about you, Maha?
I'm very good today, but because of that, I'm going to do the public service message.
Oh my
But
God.
absolutely. But no, I'm very good. I have been better. As you know, we've also done the shows on it, but the allergies season's really kicked off, and so I'm very bunged up. I'm finding it very difficult to kind of breathe through my nose. It's completely blocked all the time. But apart from that, I'm good. I'm excited about the parade. I'm excited about the 70 years working on some projects
Yeah.
and things like that. Some
And
exciting
and I
things
think
happening.
that's great as well because for a normal human being,
Yes.
I mean, if you do not get anything to probably look forward to, I think that's when you actually get a bit towards on to the
Cuckoo.
other side as well, or to the other side of the picture. But make sure that for all of what you have to do in life, you have basically broken down them into smaller goals, achieve them, and then inshallah one day wherever you want yourself to be, you will be there. So that's,
Absolutely.
I think, one thing which everybody needs to understand. But over here right now, ladies and gentlemen, we have got some headlines for the hour, and I think we
Absolutely.
are going to share them with you. So do you want me to start?
Yes, but let me do the public service message.
Well, it's going to
Yeah?
come afterwards, the
Okay.
headlines,
Sure,
right?
sure.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, first up, lawmakers will vote on military courts extension bill in National Assembly today. The bill seeks an extension for a period of 2 years. Well, the bill was actually submitted within the Assembly yesterday, and
Yes.
today I think the lawmakers will vote about it. So let's see how the voters will, because it depends on the voters. If we do have an excess of voters, obviously the extension will be there. And now
Exactly.
moving on, I think we have got another one, and the people. And I've got another news related to that as well. So the other news is Pakistan-Afghan border at Torkham and Chaman crossing points reopen as a gesture of goodwill with Afghan people. I think that's a great initiative taken by the Prime Minister as well. And then, to follow, uh, this guy says that we welcome the reopening of the Pak-Afghan border, and he's the UN Secretary General Deputy Spokesman, Farhan Haq, as well.
Wonderful.
So that's what it is.
Great. And then my
What do you have?
news is President Mamnoon Hussein has says that terrorism cannot be eliminated by use of force alone, and emphasized the role of education for the youth to discourage extremist mindsets being created in the society. So, and that's the only thing. I mean, with education, that's how you can, curb terrorism.
And obviously, because of the fact that
You have to
you
give them
change
opportunities.
mindsets with the help of education, people, they're not left vulnerable onto the ideas
And
where there's more barbarism and
But the thing I
stuff like
think
that.
when you have education, you're learning about the world, you're learning about behaviors, you're learning about people, and you learn to have a bit more appreciation. I'm not saying that one way of education is right. There's multiple ways, but you need to empower the people. Otherwise, then idle mind is the devil's playground. That's the saying. So
Yeah,
if you keep
that's a
yourself
nutshell.
busy, you will do positive things. If you're sitting there, then that's more time when you think of negative things, how life is tough, etc.
It depends on upon what you're actually keeping yourself busy with. I think
Well,
that's what the matter is.
well, it's
All right,
positive
but
things.
right now,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, it's about time for the public service
Yes.
message. Let's see what Maha has for us.
Well,
All right, go ahead.
as I've already mentioned when we were saying hello to you all, it's a parade on the 23rd. So there's a lot of distractions and routes today because there is the full dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
So be careful. Make sure that, and there's no signals as well. So whatever you need to do, make sure you do it before you leave the house when you have Wi-Fi. Try to be on time. Try to, appreciate people's time, because if you're going to be late, you're not going to be able to tell them.
Exactly, that's what it is. And because all of you might probably know, for all those people who live in Rawalpindi and Islamabad, it's the parade ground.
Yes.
And that's where the full dress rehearsal for the Pakistan Day parade is taking place right now. And the signals, well, the mobile networks are not working, but because when I left from E11, F11, that side it's working. So if you're leaving from that place, make sure that if you're supposed to call anybody, call on their landlines, take all of those numbers, and you'll be all fine. There's no
Exactly.
problem on the roads as well. You're not going to get stuck because it's the armed forces working anyways.
Exactly. So with that, we're going to introduce to you our show today,
Yeah.
and then we're going to go for a short break. But today, just as we're talking to you guys, we're expressing ourselves. It's a way of communication. But today is actually a special day. It is, what is it?
It's World Poetry Day, ladies
Absolutely.
and gentlemen, and the only reason why UNESCO has actually taken this initiative to observe World Poetry Day
Yes.
is that they want people to be more oral about it. They want people to probably go to such events or probably classes where they can talk about poetry, because poetry is a form of art.
Exactly.
Now, when we talk about this form of art, we do know that, it is diminishing with the passage of time. Now, whether is it diminishing or is it not? But we do not want this type of art to probably diminish or to fleet, or probably, we want new or younger generations to work on such form of art.
Exactly, and we need to, we need to contribute to the literature aspect of this nation as well. And UNESCO's aim is to use poetry to highlight diversity and to bring people together. And it's the way of capturing people's emotions as well. So with that, let's go for a short break. And when you come back,
Because poetry is a window onto the breathtaking diversity of humankind.
exactly, and
That's what it is.
And yeah. So with that, let's go for a short break. And when you come back, we will introduce to our guests and get the conversation started.
कौमी सफर के 70 साल।
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again for everybody who just got tuned into PT World. You watch your world this morning alongside Shazad Khan, Maha Makhdoom. Today, ladies and gentlemen, is 21st of March. Obviously, nationally, there's a bigger event happening, which is the full dress rehearsal for the Pakistan Day Parade as well. But on the other hand, what we are trying to observe today is the World Poetry Day. And
Yes.
We have probably given our introductions. If you're late for that, you can
Well, we
probably
have
catch up.
definitely given, not probably, we've
Yeah,
done it.
you can catch up in the repeat as well. But right now, it's about time that we talk to our amazing poets who are over here in the studios with us. And
Exactly.
we'll have a good conversation. Let's see what do
Absolutely.
they have to say.
So to discuss all the ways to improve poetry and how it can become more exclusive, we have been joined by Iftikhar Arif. He is a poet. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Very kind of you.
Besides Mr. Iftikhar Arif, we've been joined by Ramsha Ashraf. She is a writer and a poet as well. Assalamu alaikum. Good
Hello,
morning.
how are you?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Besides Ramsha, we've been joined by Colonel Retired Naeem Ashraf. He is also a writer. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for coming over. It's a pleasure to be here, and to be with you guys, but to get started with the conversation. Now, when we get this message, or when people trying to say that we need to probably have more oral recitals about poetry and be in a debate with drama, with dance, with music, how do you think, or what do you do you form an opinion about it? Do you have to say something about it?
I think if it is in your sort of blood, it comes out naturally. Planning and some kind of administrative management of promotion for poetry, it works, but it works very little. Basically, it is a spontaneous. If you are a poet and you have to write, you will go on writing without thinking of the fact that whether somebody is listening to it or not.
Right.
It is in you, it is natural for you, it is spontaneous, and you cannot plan to have a poet. I mean, there are people in countries, millions of people, but seldom you will find any great poet or
But
a
same is
great
the case.
painter.
Same is the case with musicians too.
Yeah.
Same is the case with artists.
Sports,
Same is the case with
even.
people who act.
Yeah.
Same is the case with people who are over here as well. With whatever we get in our heads, it just comes. People say it's art, but probably, for example, even right now, we are sitting together. We are going to have a debate about it. This is a debate in between anchors and poets right now.
You can learn sort of writing a poetry in meters.
Yeah.
You can learn urus. You can sort of borrow themes. You can be dictated with sort of like during Soviet Union days, you were given issues to be discussed in poetry and all, but
Yeah.
but then there's no poetry. If you recall poets from Soviet Union, you will recall people like Osip Mandelstam or Anna Tsvetaeva or Mayakovsky, Yesenin. I mean, those poets who were spontaneous. But post-Soviet days, not very many poets there.
Okay.
Because you cannot sort of organize poetry. You cannot organize music.
Okay.
You can organize a seminar. You can organize a poetry symposium. You can organize a mushaira.
Yeah.
Mushaira can sort of attract people, readership, poetry lovers could come and get together,
Okay.
interactions.
Okay, wonderful. And that's actually, that's the whole theme, and that's part of the whole celebration this year. It's to get the oral recitals going. It's about increasing the foot flow towards poetry. Now, let's ask Ramsha. As Shazad mentioned, the collaboration between the different arts. So, for example, poetry with theatre and drama and dance. How important do you think it is to collaborate, to start, building those bridges in order to get people interested in it again?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It's an honor. I guess first I would like to endorse what Iftikhar Arif has said, just shared with us. It is poetry is the spontaneous flow of powerful emotions,
Yeah.
but recollected in tranquility.
Yeah.
So the portion which is associated or affiliated with learning is still there.
Okay.
You can still learn, you can still polish, or you can let's say, skillfully deal with it.
Right.
Now coming to the point which you have asked, I guess collaborations are always just great, even if it is in between two cultures, between two languages, between two forms of arts. Why? Because it actually works on the principle of hybridization. You pick and choose the positives, the good qualities or aspects, and then you formulate something which is suitable.
Yeah.
So it
Suitable
becomes
for what?
For the audience.
Communication.
for the audience, yes. For example, if you have a play going on, if you have a theater play going on, and in that you are going to utilize the medium of verse
Yeah.
or poetry, it's going to be more powerful than the usual or than the ordinary medium, because it has visuals, it has those individuals performing, but they are also playing with the words. They're also going to utilize, let's say, meter, rhyme, lyrics, and different aspects of poetry.
Okay, wonderful. That's a great answer.
I think I would love to move on to Kanasab over. Now, Kanasab, as a matter of fact, what we need to do is we need to make it look more interesting, make it look more attractive as well. Because poetry, I think, is the mainstay of verbal communication anyways, and values and norms. Now, when we talk about making poetry attractive over here within Pakistan, how do you think that we can do that? Because we are culturally very diverse. We have got those norms, we have got those values within our system as well. But poetry is nowhere to be seen. Because back in the days when I remember my grandmother, and I remember all of those people who belong to a decade where we obviously cannot probably even
Even our
peek into right
parents.
now, they used to communicate with poetry. They used to say things with poetry, and the cultural norms were there with it, and they were intact.
Okay, thank you very much, Fahad. And I feel honored to have been sitting with Iftikhar Arif Saab, such a senior poet. And I also feel small because I'm not a poet, I'm a writer.
Right. Yes.
Coming to your question, relating, poetry is a voice of soul.
Yeah.
It's inner expression of a poet, and he uses symbols and words to express it. Making it more interesting, yes. Basis of, music, the poetry is rhythmic organization of words which creates music. So if you relate it with music, and many poetry has been used for the songs and ghazals and recitations, and also in the childhood we used to listen loris from our mothers, and that was a poetry and rhythm. So reinforcing your present music and music arena with the poetry can make it more interesting.
Okay.
And it can also promote you. If you go back in medieval age, and we see that many you see a very good poetry in old movies. So
That's
I
very
think
true.
it's something to do with the soul, and if you put relate it and augment it with music, it can become
Okay,
more
so
interesting.
basically updating it and making it more appealing for the younger generation. But let me ask you, sir, Iftikhar, now we're talking about poetry, and the way everyone's spoken about poetry, it comes from your soul, it's in your blood, as you've mentioned. Now, but unfortunately, as technology has progressed, we have seen it has become a almost outdated form of expression, or it's underutilized comparatively to music and other forms of expression. Now, you say yourself, having worked in this area, being someone who's a great poet yourself, how can we now revive and get the youngsters and the youth interested? Because it is a very unique form of art, and it's something that needs to be preserved.
Because even people have been singing what you've written.
Maha, this is a very sad situation. Initially, as you said about the oral tradition, it began with the oral tradition, and right from the beginning, poetry was very commonly appreciated by people. It was in our culture. People in day-to-day conversations, not necessarily literary conversations, in normal conversations, they used to recite poems, and poets were very respected in different way. But now it is changing. The focus has gone from fine arts to career.
Okay.
People are more interested in making money. Literature, theater, music, painting, marginalized, you know. The decline of culture during sort of 2-3 decades, I have seen and noticed that people are not going to the bookshops. They are eating kebabs of, say, 5,000 rupees a evening, but will not buy a book of 500 rupees.
That's very true.
And unfortunately, this is world over that poetry is declining. If you go to, for instance, England, and you go to Foyle's or Dillon's or Hatcher's or Waterstone's, you will see that the shelves or the counter of literature and poetry is no more visible. You
Not even presentable, though.
know, it's gone to sort of lower ground floor or the fifth floor or fourth floor.
Exactly.
Poetry in translations almost disappearing. There were poets like Neruda in Latin America, but we as children, we used to learn Neruda and Nazim Hikmat and Lorca and Mayakovsky and Yesenin and Pasternak. Now, if you recall poets, I mean,
Education.
they're not theirs. You know, you cannot recall any poet emerged internationally during, say, last 20 years.
Exactly.
Mahmoud Darwish and Nazar Qubani and Farooq Farooqzad. But our Faiz Ahmad Faiz were known internationally. In fact, Urdu was sort of related to Faiz. Faiz is the poet who writes in Urdu, you know. He was introduced as someone who writes in Urdu and who lived in Pakistan. But now it is not that. And the reason is very, very simple, and the reason is that people are not very interested in fine arts.
Okay. Now,
very
sir,
good point.
if we dig a bit deeper in it, what I think of it is, I think that people have actually lost their roots with the Urdu literature. I think that's where it all begins from, because of the fact that now everybody wants to go to an English medium school. Okay, you're going to go to English medium school, your vocabulary will be marginalized, obviously because you're studying English, you cannot be very correct in Urdu, then your grammar, then everything. So when the connection is loosened up with literature, I think everything related to fine arts is going to come.
But let me tell you one thing. Everybody is speaking English in England, you know. But the last great poet from England, after T.S. Eliot, Yeats, Spender, Auden, Dylan Thomas, right? Or American Sylvia Plath. And that's it. People here don't know, for instance, like Andrew Motion or Ted Hughes or George Macbeth or Derek Mann. The reason is very simple. They are not crossing the boundaries of their own country. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
It's
Absolutely.
very, very unfortunate that people are not here. And the other thing, see, during last 50 years, poets who were writing in English 30 years ago, like Tawfiq Rifat and Khaja Shahid Hussain and Dawood Kamal and Shahid Sohrawardi, they were known internationally. Even they were writing Baki Qureshi. There was a small community, but now English schools didn't produce
so then are
any
you
good
trying
poet.
to say that we are not relevant anymore?
No, you have not, you know, it is not tokenism, you know.
Yeah.
People writing in English, I'm sorry to say, has not come up to the standard of the sort of international
Level.
English literature.
Okay, now I feel like and these are very good points, you know, discussion points, and let's get Ramsha as well involved into the conversation. But I feel like Shahzad's point is that it's not just Urdu poetry or literature. This is a worldwide situation. This is why it's World Poetry Day. Now, even in school, like I remember within our curriculum, we had to read the great poets. It was part of it. Now, I don't know what the situation is now, but I have noticed that I remember when I used to go to a bookstore this was a very long time ago, but when I was 8, 9 years old, and I would look for the poetry books because in our family it also was that environment that was created. Do you think that social media, this advancing of technology, has played a part in really poetry being on the worst end of the literature stick?
I feel otherwise actually. I
Okay.
feel that this advancement in technology or this technological advancement and the connection and the blurring of boundaries or these boundaries which have become porous, it actually has connected us to the wider world.
Absolutely. Okay.
And coming back to this point that we are not connected to Urdu literature, we are not connected to English literature, that's not right. We still have Waqas Khaja writing. We still have people who are producing good work,
Okay. No,
who
no,
have
it's-
been
yeah.
writing
Okay.
up to that mark, to the point where we could consider Daud Kamal, Tawfiq Rafat, Maki Qureshi, Kamla Das, and you name it, and you can dig that poet from this subcontinent.
Absolutely.
We still have people writing and producing good work, and we are connected to those people. But the problem comes in the propagation, in the publicity, or in the publication process.
Yeah.
And of course, in the medium where good transliterations and translations should have been produced.
Okay, no, I know. See, I completely agree with you, and it's a really, this is really great conversation. But the thing is, the writers are there. No one's denying the fact that the talent isn't there. We know Pakistan is full of talent in every field,
Yeah.
and we have some great minds, especially in regards to literature
It's
and poetry.
about
But no,
utili-
but the thing is, even if you publicize it, the thing is, people's interests are not going there.
Yeah.
I mean, your 8-year-old kid now will want his iPad. He'll want to go on holidays. He'll want to, I don't know, go to Centaurus. The idea that I'm going to sit and now read poetry with my father, that tradition is not there.
Everyone likes to listen a song with good lyrics,
Yeah.
and lyrics are poetry.
Okay.
And we watch people performing poetry. Now there is this new trend emerging with the performance poetry. So it's not decaying.
Okay.
I'm very optimistic about it.
You're
Usually
optimistic.
I'm not.
You're
I'm
You're
not
very
this
optimistic,
person.
but I feel like you have a window into an area that we, the general public, don't have it. So that's what we're trying to figure out.
And I think
What
with
do you
Maybe,
see?
yes.
I think let me highlight the issue over here. Now, for example, for us, for generations like us, knowing Mir Saab, Allama Muhammad Iqbal Saab, and
And
then,
Ghalib,
Faraz Saab, and there have been so many other poets as well, is because of the fact that within our syllabi, we were supposed to read all of these poets.
Yes, because
and
we are
other than that,
forced-
even if we did have our interest in poetry,
Nah.
it doesn't really matter. So why don't you think that people or the education sector is not probably making them a part of our syllabus over and over the period of time?
I mean, I feel shame when I don't know an author or a poet or someone, one of the greats from the back in
because
history.
we haven't evolved.
So Colonel Sab, so what's your opinion on this?
My opinion about this is that the culture, the literature, and the art is promoted by the preference of the society.
Okay.
Our parents are becoming more materialistic, and our children see their parents money-making machines, and they also, as Iftikhar Sahab said, more career-oriented one. When they focus more on the academic curricula, and after that in the evening for the tuition, and after that iPad and mobile phone, maybe we have as elders failed to provide time and space to the children to read poetry, sit with them. It is not very long that Faiz Saab and Fraz Saab and Ahmad Nadeem Qasmi Saab and John Elia and people used to go and listen to them, and parents used to take children to the recitals and mushairas, because children, people take their trends from the top. Similarly, children take their trends from their parents.
Okay.
So time and space and the culture and environment and ambience has to be produced for that.
No, but sir, with due respect, now I think what we need to do is, or what our poets need to do, or what our writers need to do is, they need to evolve alongside technology.
Yeah.
Now, for example, if a poet thinks that I'm going to write a book and I'm going to pen it down and that's what it is, and I'm going to get it published, that's not what's going to help. I mean, if we live in a global market and if we think that we need to be globally connected, I think that all of these people who are in the shape of fine arts out there within the society, they need to evolve alongside technology. They can write blogs, they can publish their poetry onto the internet, they can they can publish their any piece of work over the internet, and then alongside they can get it published onto the book.
But
I
nothing
agree
is
with you.
interesting unless you are interested.
Yeah, but that's
You
my
can
point.
put it anywhere. If I don't want to read, I will not.
That's the point.
Yeah, but that's-
at least the reach is more.
So what are your thoughts on this? Because we want to get people, we want to encourage them to go back towards poetry, but there seems to, even this, the social media, I feel like there's so many millions of people on it. So how do you find the next Faiz?
And now social media is not just Facebook or Twitter.
No,
it's
no.
other blogs. It's a million and
Yeah,
a
so
gazillion
social
websites.
media
It's a
encompassed.
network,
Yeah.
Initially in the history, if you go back, you could see that centuries were recognized and identified with their poets, Homer
Exactly.
period.
Yeah, exactly.
The Shakespearean era, the Virgil period, the Firdausi period,
All the Greek
now
tragedies.
they have disappeared. Now, you know, good poets and good authors were supposed to transcend their languages, their lands, their times, Homer, BC, is still relevant. Why?
Absolutely.
Because of his talent, because of his genius. Shakespeare or Milton or anybody of that stature. Now, the unfortunate thing is that last great poets came before and after Second World War. Our poets, the great poets, as Ashraf mentioned about, Faiz or Rashid or Qasmi Saab, they came after, before and after partition, before and after independence. Since then, I have yet to see a poet emerging as, yes, you don't find poets just like that.
No.
You don't produce poets, They emerge, they evolve, I'm not seeing any poet on the horizon who would tomorrow would become Faiz
Who
or
transcends all
Rashid
this.
or Neruda, for instance. Neruda, 50 years ago, Neruda was there, Octavia Paz was there 30 years, 40 years ago. Eliot was there 100 years around, So, great poets are not emerging.
Okay. Now, they're not emerging. And the thing is, they may be there, as according to Ramsha, but the thing is, like you said, they're not taking that limelight and they're not being recognized. Now, with the whole connectivity of the world, do you think it's more difficult with the connection through social media, through all the different platforms? It's become more difficult to transcend boundaries and cultures and countries?
And what solutions do you have? Because
Yeah.
we're running out of time now.
Yeah,
so
we
need
need
to
a
talk
solution
about
from you,
solutions.
sir.
I know this is I don't know, because I had been associated with these academies and things, and I have worked very hard to promote them through translations and published many magazines, and you can enhance this. You can produce what is there. If it is not there, you can't produce. Like theatre, for instance. Good theatre didn't come to Pakistan. Whatever individual playwrights do and performer do, television enhanced some good theatre. But later on, even television is not producing.
But now I think that the situation amongst the theatre artists has gone better, because even in the prime time we tune into televisions, all our theatre artists are the one who are actually making shows successful. So I think that's what the job of media was then and now as well.
But
quick
theatre
solutions now.
disappeared.
Yeah, theatre disappeared.
That's true. Okay, so now I've actually really run short of time, but I think we were going to ask them
Yeah,
to share
quick solutions.
solutions, and I think they had poetry to share
Yeah.
as well, some people. Yes? Would you like to share, Pete?
Following your dreams and go on writing. It is a disease called Osip Mandelstam has said that all poets are having a disease.
Okay.
It is called Nightingale fever.
Okay.
And you cannot find any sort of medical dictionary to explain what exactly the Nightingale fever is. But the symptom is inability to stop singing regardless of consequences.
Wonderful.
So we
That's
will go on
wonderful.
writing.
Very good, sir.
Excellent. Ramsha, what would you like to say to all our viewers?
Well, poetry speaks for itself. Although we say that there are no platforms available, people are not writing well. We say so many things about it, discouraging things. To me, these are discouraging things. But still, poetry speaks for itself. If there are good poets, they will emerge. And my not knowing them is my limitation. It's not that they are not there. They are there,
Yeah.
and I don't know about them.
Okay, excellent. Yes.
Similarly, we can transcend, maybe interact with other cultures, and we can have organize academic visits of students to the
Yeah.
other
Can I
countries
add
and cultures and
something?
read their
Sorry,
poetries,
Okay.
and promote within the children. It's responsibility of the parents to sit with the children
Absolutely.
and recite poetry.
Amazing.
I would
2
like
seconds.
to say,
Quickly.
yeah,
Yeah, 2 seconds.
I would like to say that I wish that I had this opportunity to write an ode to the Nightingale, but at the same time, I would like to, and I would wish to write a kafi by Bulleh Shah. So something which is rooted in my culture.
Absolutely
Amazing.
wonderful.
Amazing,
And you know,
Alice.
with that, I feel like, you know, I think that poetry is there. That's absolutely correct. But the thing is, it's not getting the platform it wants. We don't have the people who are excelling. You know, they're not. You don't have those shining bright stars. Or if you do, they're not getting that platform. Now, you know, for me, my dad, he wrote a poetry book recently. We've grown up with poetry, but I have grown, you know, I have moved away from it, but that's because life has thrown different things, social media, you have TV, you have this and that. So I think that we need to revitalize
I
these
think my
things.
suggestion to that is please make sure that whatever you write be relevant. Be about the time which you live in. Be about how.
You can't tell them what to write.
That's what you need to do, and that's how people are going to get onto that as well. Because if you're going to relate to my situation or to the situation of the masses, that's what's going to get our interest.
Yeah, you
that's
need to,
what it is.
you need to get them, like, you need to give them the little, like, trigger, and then they'll find their own path
Exactly.
within
Probably
it.
talk about depression, I think.
Yeah.
That's going to be very relevant as
Absolutely.
well. But that's what it is, ladies and gentlemen. Right now we have to move on towards the fruit of the day, and we have got
yes.
pear, also known as nashpati.
So we do have
And the health benefits of pears is it lowers blood
pear.
pressure, helps prevent cancer.
It lowers your cholesterol level, and it is also very good for regulating your bowels.
Energy booster, relieves fever, boosts immune system.
And it's anti-inflammatory, and it prevents shortness of breath, and it is very good for fiber. So for that, guys, that is your fruit of the day. It's a pear. Don't forget that the parade is going on, so there are no signals, so do make sure that you take all the precautions that you need before you leave the house. With that, have a wonderful day. Log on to our Facebook fan page,
Which is with the name of World This Morning.
our Twitter page,
World This Morning without a G.
our Daily Ration YouTube page.
World This Morning, World This
And
Morning.
the repeat is at?
It's going to be 5:11 p.m.
Have a-
And whatever you have within your own self, please make sure that you pen it down, because
Yes.
the stroke of the pen is going to win ye a million hearts. That's what it is.
Wonderful.
Look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
morning.